Complications by Imminent Eclipse. It was 2 a.m. when I heard the faint ringing of my phone. Annoyed, I had every intention of ignoring it, but my wife shook me out of my stupor and talked me into taking the call. It was Johnson. I snapped out of it as soon as I heard her mention 187. We don't really get many homicides where I work. Even when we do, they're almost always related to robberies in one way or another, or perhaps to an occasional bout of familial violence. We had little experience with what she said we were dealing with, so I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised by the curiosity I felt when she gave me some of the details about the case. 4 people dead, a family. Neighbors called it in after hearing gunshots coming from the house. Who snapped? I asked as I was putting my pants on. We expected it to be the father, but I honestly don't know now that I'm looking at the scene. Listen, some weird shit happened here, so drag your ass down here as soon as you can. I had to have broken a law or two, what with the way I was driving. If it wasn't for the yellow tape circling around the premises and a downright astonishing number of cops milling about, the Campbell residence would have looked perfectly serene. It was a proud patriot household through and through, with a decently trimmed lawn, a stunningly white facade, and the American flag hanging high above the front door. Johnson snuck up on me as I was getting my stuff out of the car. The first thing she did was offer me coffee, and it's a good thing too, because I'd probably have had a brain aneurysm otherwise. As I said, it was a family of 4. Father was a decorated war veteran, retired just half a year ago, struggling with PTSD, but seeing a shrink. Kids loved him, his wife also. We were trying to reach the therapist to see if she knows anything. Outside was freezing, and my trench coat did jack shit against the elements. Listen, Johnson, you can fill me in inside, right? She stepped out in front of me, just as I reached out to open the door. I've got to warn you, it's bad. I scoffed and nudged her out of my way and charged right on in. Christ almighty. Bad didn't quite encapsulate just how far south things had gone for the Campbells. I grabbed my head in disbelief, completely forgetting that I was blocking the doorway. Firstly, there was the smell. Damp, wet, musky scent of iron, mixed with what had to be shit and other assorted bodily fluids. Then there was the gore. We're talking green, brown, crimson, purple, spread all over the walls, some of it dripping off the ceiling. Holy hell. What is this bullshit? I did warn you, Johnson said with a snark. It took me far too long to realize that all of the gore draped across the living room came from a single body. That of what had to have been a girl, judging by the scraps of scalp sticking to the carpet. 12 years of age, according to my partner. She was eviscerated through and through. From what I could tell, no internal organs had been present in the body whatsoever. A massive vertical gash was stretching out from the top of her skull all the way to her lower abdomen, with the vast majority of her insides nowhere to be found. Holding a handkerchief over my mouth, I stared in horror and disbelief in equal measure. Johnson, can you help me understand where her guts went? Please? Well, shit. There are still 3 more bodies to go through, Mac. I winced. Johnson led me through what seemed like an army of techies doing their job, marking all potential evidence across the crime scene, of which there was plenty. There was a lump of vomit stuck in my throat, though I couldn't let anyone know that a grizzled detective such as myself didn't have the stomach for violence. We entered the kid's room and, oh look, the son's internal organs were spilled all over his bed, with a portion of his intestines reaching all the way down to the floor. I puked in a nearby trash bin. Johnson, not a word to anybody. She gave me a disapproving look before continuing with the debrief. Right, this was the son, 7 years old. Notice anything interesting? It took me a moment to register what Johnson was talking about. The organs. It looked as if something was pulling them out of him with immense force. They were disemboweled? I think so, yeah. But look at the wound. Another vertical tear. What could possibly cause that? Whoever did this was done with the daughter before he moved on to the son. They just didn't have a chance to finish, huh? Johnson nodded, showing me to the parents' room. We walked slowly, mostly because I really didn't want to know what was inside. A trail of viscera led me there as well, and I dreaded seeing what caused all the mess. Come on, Mac. Let's get this over with. I took a hesitant step into the room. You know, if you were retelling all of this to me, I wouldn't believe you. No fucking way, I said to my partner. We finally found where the girl's insides were, tangled with those of her mother into a sizable ball of various organs and strange strand-looking things that was sitting on the middle of the bed. I could make out small bits of brain and what looked to be lungs or maybe kidneys, judging by the color. It was all holding together quite impressively, though I couldn't quite put my finger on how it did that. The wife was down on the floor, gutted vertically just like the kids. But this body had some of the bones missing as well, the ribs to be exact, which could be found on the other side of the room, protruding from the husband in directions I didn't even think were possible. What is this, Johnson? How the hell did this all happen? She pointed toward a handgun laying on the floor next to the husband, and then to the holes just behind the wife. It was an M1911 .45, and the guy managed to empty the magazine into his wife before dying of severe puncture wounds. But there was something else. On the wall behind the wife's corpse was a strange, viscous fluid, black in color, but with an odd shimmer. Well, that's a clue if I've ever seen one. Let's have the techies analyze that. And can someone untangle the guts, please? The guys moved in and resumed their work while me and Johnson went to the precinct to unwind for a bit. It was about 4 a.m. when the bodies were finally transported to the coroner's office, where further analysis could be made. By the early afternoon, we could already come up with a somewhat reliable timeline, seeing as how this case got everyone riled up and willing to help. It was at the top of everyone's to-do pile, because nothing makes people quite as productive as excessive violence does. We knew that the cops breached the Campbell's residence approximately 8 minutes after the 911 call was made. The initial theory was that the man had gone mad, committed triple homicide, then started desecrating the bodies somehow, moving the remains all over the place. However, that didn't make all that much sense, seeing as how the evidence said that the entrails were rushed through the house at an immense speed. Additionally, how the hell could he have killed himself using his wife's ribs while simultaneously firing a gun at her? Things didn't add up. And there's more. The suspect's M1911 was loaded with a standard 7-round mag. Another empty magazine was found, which meant that he must have reloaded after killing everybody off. So here's the math. 6 shots were fired at his wife after the executions had already taken place, fresh mag, with 1 round still present in the barrel. There were 6 casings scattered around his body, which matched the rest of the info. 2 shots got lodged in his wife, while 2 punched straight through into the wall. An additional round was present in her frontal lobe from the execution. However, 2 of the fired shots were nowhere to be found. And then there's the ball of guts, the incredibly crude yet precise vertical gashes, and the tiny black filaments tissue analysis had proven to be spread all over the place. Plus, the odd-looking fluid we found sticking to the wall like a splatter of some sort. None of our crew could tell us what those are, short of them being biological in origin. Then, just as we were brainstorming, my cell phone rang. It was the coroner's office. Expecting additional information, I took the call, only for the situation to escalate even further. I put the phone back down, lit a cigarette while my colleagues all stared at me in confusion. After a moment of silence, with a defeated tone, I announced what I had just heard. Coroner is dead. Bodies went missing.